My name is Jocelyn Quinn, and I am the author of Off the Record. In this book, set in present-day Washington, D.C., you will meet the protagonist, Liz Mason, a young investigative journalist who is assigned to cover the White House at her new job, and the prominent Washington figures that are involved in a scandal that she uncovers while on the job. This book explores the intersection of journalism and Washington politics with a little bit of rock and roll and romance here and there. I was inspired to write this book by my love for politics and by the many women in media in my life that I've grown up with as role models, who taught me that anyone can break the story. The title is important for a few reasons. One, I'm obsessed with rock and roll, as you can see, and I wanted to be able to include as many references as possible, so the idea of having a record in there will play into it. And there's a bar in the Haddams Hotel called Off the Record, which is where staffers from the White House will go and get a drink or get lunch or get dinner, and it's pretty famous in Washington. And growing up, since I was little, my mom has always had these off-the-record media dinners with prominent political figures and a dozen or so female journalists. The coolest story that I share in this book, aside from Liz uncovering the actual scandal, is when Liz meets her romantic interest, Joe Riley. He ends up being very central to the scandal itself, and a lot of the interactions and dialogue that they share comes from the story of my parents meeting each other in Washington 20 years ago. So I really enjoy writing that because, it's inspired by a true story and a true story that I grew up hearing. The coolest part about this book is that a lot of the conversations and the anecdotes from certain encounters that Liz has are true, actual quotes that either my mom has said or my mom has heard or I've heard growing up in DC, and I've then weaved them into this book. I really hope that it is able to encompass the Washington, D.C. political sphere from the viewpoint of a young journalist. My hope for this book is that first and foremost, it's a fun and inspiring read. I hope the story of Liz expresses to young women that whatever their goal is, it can be done, and anyone can break the story. If you're like me and you like writers that weave between the serious and the funny, you'll enjoy this book. Anyone who has lived in Washington or is interested in Washington or loves politics, rock and roll, scandals, will love this book. My name is Jocelyn Quinn, and I am the author of Off the Record.